Australia, a land of great diversity in its flora and fauna. Bird life in Australia is quite fascinating. Pelicans. Although pelicans live on all continents except Antarctica, Australian pelicans, Pelicanus conspiculatus, is found throughout Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Western Indonesia, and some of the Western Pacific Islands. Australian pelicans like to live very close to the water of coastal inlets, shorelines, swamps and rivers, almost any area that supports an abundance of fish. But sometimes it's not quite the case. Mother Nature provides food to all the wild animals and does not rely on humans to feed its wildlife. Sometimes mankind can show extraordinary affinity towards wild animals such as this. This is pelican feeding happening at one of the coastal inlets in the South Gippsland region, a small country town called San Remo. This pelican feeding happens every single day at about 11:30ish in the morning, which is quite an attraction for locals and for visiting tourists. Pelican feeding is done by the Fishermen's Co-op. It goes back to when they started throwing them unwanted fish offcuts. Since 1985, the pelicans have been fed 365 days of the year by trained volunteers. The Australian pelican has strong, short blue-grey legs and webbed feet with 4 toes that face forward. Very effective for diving, swimming and incubating eggs. Most birds have 3 forward-facing toes and 1 backward-facing toe. Lisa is the volunteer for today's pelican feeding. We had a wee chat with Lisa and she told us a few interesting things. Hi Lisa, so tell me more about the predators of a pelican.
Well, fortunately, there's not a lot of predators for the pelican, but we are actually their worst enemy, and that's in terms of the environment that we create for them in leaving balloons, fish hooks. We've had pelicans turn up here with fishing line wrapped around them, so we've had to rescue a few, and we do that by catching them. We work with the local vet and we release any entanglements, and if they need rehab we'll work with the Phillip Island Nature Park as well until such time that bird can be released back into the wild. So no real predators, but helium balloons, fish hooks, all that plastic is certainly their problem.
And what does it do to their digestive system?
Well, it's believed that if they've got enough plastic inside them, they will actually starve because they actually feel full. And also some of those soft balloons, when they break down into their gut, the enzymes within the birds can break them down and it forms like a real sticky thing that they just can't digest. So very, very problematic for the birds. And we even recently had a poor seagull here, and we tried to catch him with the Phillip Island Nature Park over about a 10-day period, who had not only a fish hook through his beak, but a lure attached to the fish hook. And even the public here found that quite distressing to see. But it was a really hard thing to catch a pelican, but much harder to catch the seagull. So that's a big problem.
Have you ever caught a pelican?
I have caught a pelican. So I was lucky enough to be involved with a study group initially, and in the banding of the pelicans. So we're still trying to find out a lot more, track where they go, do they stay around the island, how far are they going away. We get other groups reporting any sightings. So I was fortunate enough to catch one and to feel it and to really see that really up close and personal was quite exciting.
Any idea how far they do go?
They've had a few trackers put on them recently, and I think, as I was mentioning, 100 kilometres is not uncommon for a bird to fly in a day. But they'll do a lot of to and forth, so they might go over to a breeding island and come back, might go back there, then they might just go out locally to somewhere like Tooradin. So still early days, still a lot to learn about.
And have you seen the chicks at all?
I've seen some chicks. We got a permit to go over at a colony and have a look at the chicks and see what stage the breeding was at. So that was really exciting to see the little ones. They call them pinkies. And unfortunately, that was also a sad experience to see how much plastic was used to build their nests and to see some of those chicks actually wrapped in plastic. It was quite distressing, and again, a message that we need to send out to the public and to the school groups that come to the feeding, the importance of plastic and those things on not just the pelicans but all of our marine life.
How many eggs do they lay?
They lay up to 3.
Oh.
But usually one is a survivor, and those eggs will be hatched a couple of days apart. So it's usually the first will be the survivor because he'll be a bit stronger, get a bit more food, and might bully siblings around a bit. So generally there's one survivor.
And how long do they stay in the nest for?
Around a month.
Yeah.
So they'll be in that period where the birds, mum and dad will come and feed them, and then after about a month they'll go into these small creches. Sorry, I shouldn't say small creches, they can be big creches of about 100 chicks. And they'll stay there and still be fed, but until they can feed and fly for themselves, they'll stay in that environment.
And you can't tell if they're male or female?
No, not at that stage. Well, we haven't actually been involved in the banding of any juveniles to sort of see when you can start picking the differences, but I know with our adults, the only way we can pick the difference is to like through a blood test. So you can't sort of identify them, except the really big birds will be males. They're obviously much bigger than the females.
So how old will the chicks be when they come here?
They'll be a couple of years old.
Yeah.
But we won't ever see anything much smaller than those here.
And are they made for life, pelicans?
Well, I have seen the mating process.
Have you?
Where they'll have one female will have half a dozen males chasing her. So I've watched that many times. So whether that mating for life, or they're just the young ones coming through finding their mate for life.
Yeah.
But it's quite fascinating just to watch that process with them.
And are these related to the pelicans at Lake Eyre at all?
They are. They're still the Australian pelican. How far they go, whether they migrate, this is all the information that a lot of study groups are looking at the moment. So Lake Brewster experienced an exceptional colony over there at the moment, over 30,000 pelicans. So they believe with all the floods and Lake Brewster has just been a perfect breeding ground for them. So numbers are declining. However, that's a really exceptional amount of birds to be breeding over on that lake.
So they're not endangered at all at this stage?
They're not endangered. No, not.
But they're in danger from
Correct.
us, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And environment, like all wildlife, environment plays its part, but we can certainly play ours in terms of what we can do to protect them.
Yeah. And I heard that they don't like the fish if it's been filleted.
They prefer it as it comes, but they won't say no to a flathead frame all the same. And they'll eat other things as well. They'll eat crustaceans, prawns, so they'll not always just fish, but that's their main diet. And however, it has been reported if they're hungry enough, they could go a seagull or a turtle. Yeah. So not their preferred diet, but if they're hungry enough.
And I've heard that they catch water in their pouches too, sort of face the rain and open the pouch and the water goes down.
Yeah, they'll open the pouch for some fresh water, and that pouch holds about 13 litres of water. So when they scoop up their fish, they'll generally bring their net in and drain the water and swallow that fish head first. But yes, it's got many uses. Also a rain swipper.
Yes, yeah. And the little hook on the end, that's quite sharp, yeah?
Really sharp, really sharp. So that's believed that they'll use that to catch some slippery fish. Might be used to help build their nests as well.
So it's not just like a little egg beak to get out of the shell. They keep on using it later on
Yeah,
in life.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a tool.
And is there one particular character out of all of them?
Particular character.
Yeah, one who's... Yeah.
We had one we called Mr. Snappy. He was huge. He was a juvenile, but a really big bird. And as young as he was, he had no problems in just waddling up through all the other birds, coming straight up to us and trying to put his head into the bucket and get a feed. So he was really interesting. He was a real character, Mr. Snappy. Yeah.
Pelicans are such fascinating creatures. It would definitely be an amazing feeling to feed these birds. Who was the first one to feed these pelicans at this place? Guess what? We met Val, who was the very first feeder of these great birds at this place, and the ritual has been continuous since 1985.
Last time we were talking, you were saying about where it started. You want to tell me a couple of things about that?
Well, it was back in 1985.
Yep.
One of the director's sons went up north and noticed up there that they were feeding the pelicans. Now, as we're a fishing port, we'd clean our fish every morning and then we'd toss the scraps off the jetty and the birds would get scraps. And of course there's always pelicans there because they'll follow the boats in, the bay boats. So we decided that instead of just throwing the scraps off the jetty, we'd start feeding the pelicans. So that's where that idea came from. So that was something we started doing, and then we decided to do it at a regular time every day. So early in the morning we'd clean our fish, then we'd have a radio time where I used to call the boats to see if any of them are coming home. Then after that I'd go down and feed the pelicans, which is 11 o'clock. So that was good. And then, of course, some days they turned up and sometimes they didn't, depending on the weather. So
I suppose you'd get attached to them too, wouldn't you?
Well, yes. They used to come in, they'd have a pecking order. So I'd go down my little box of fish, scraps for them, and then I'd wait for them. They'd come up, have a little bit of pecking order, you know. One of the ones I called Gobble Guts because I didn't know them. He'd sit in the front and, you know, on me, get out of my spot.
And they'd all had personalities, wouldn't they?
Yes, some of them had personalities. So I'd be waiting for them to get their pecking order right. And then I'd wait and then I'd start quivering because in anticipation of getting fed. So I used to make a deal out of that. If there was people watching, I'd say, we're going to shake some feathers, ready for our brekkie? And I'd, shake, and I'd say, we're going to say good morning. So I'd go like that, and they'd think I'm throwing the fish, so their beaks would go up.
All right.
And then down, say, good morning. And then I'd say to the crowd, pick out a pelican and make sure your pelican gets fed.
Yeah.
So,
what were some of the names?
well, as I said, I had Gobble Guts because he was right in the front. We had Tags because he was a big bird. He actually had a silver tag on his leg. I had 3 little ones that used to stand on my right side, so I called them Huey, Dewey and Louie. There was a big one that was, I think must have been old, but I called him Big Whitey because his feathers were a lot lighter. And then I had another one that had lighter feathers, so that one was Little Whitey.
Yeah.
And I also had one I called Fussy Bum.
Fussy.
You're wondering why he was fussy? Because he'd feed the fish to the pelicans and, straight down the hatch. But this one, no, you fed him a flathead, spit it out.
What was the one that had something to do with warning?
Well, that one was occasionally for something different, to put on a bit of a show. I used to say, right, it's cricket season, okay, we'll do a flipper, which Warner used to do a flipper. So I'd throw the fish so it sort of spun and flipped in the air and for the pelican to catch. Also, another little trick I used to do was say, who wants to do their stretches today? So I'd be kneeling down and then I'd slowly stand up with the fish in my hand and stand right up. So the pelican had to really stretch to take the fish. Another time I do over the shoulder because there's always one or two that stood behind me. So so that one would get a feed, that one would get a feed. And a couple of times, like I'll do just a few little different things.
Oh, yeah.
And when I'd always ask the crowd, anyone's pelican didn't get fed? One would say, oh, mine did. I said, which one? It's the black and white one. I said, yeah, well, that's good. They're all black and white.
What kind of numbers were there at the peak?
Could be anything about 40, perhaps. Some days you go, be none come in. Sometimes it'd be only a handful. Other times, 40, could be more. I never actually got around to counting them.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
It was. I remember once, because I'd feed them about 11 o'clock, I was busy selling some fish in the shop, and of course it must have been getting a bit late. And next thing I look out the front shop window and here's a couple of pelicans looking at me saying, well, where are you? We're waiting. So I finished serving the customer, went, got the fish, and they just followed me back down to the feeding area, which is all completely changed now since I did it, because I left in 1999. So
how long did you do it for? That's 15?
15 years, 16 years. And people say, well, daylight savings, they never knew what daylight savings was, but they'd still be there. They just had to wait a bit longer.
Yep.
Also, Christmas Day, the co-op was closed. But little me, I couldn't leave my pelicans for out there Christmas dinner, so I used to come down and just feed them on Christmas Day.
I was going to say, because you didn't advertise or anything, the numbers of people that came down to watch?
We get more weekends, school holidays. I think we ended up having a sign, maybe up the street from memory, that said pelican feeding at 11 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
And of course then later on, when they put the fish and chips section in, they changed the feeding time to 12 o'clock. That way the tourists will see the fish getting fed and then come in and get their feed of fish. That's how it works. Well, they just had to wait around, unfortunately. And they still come in today. I mean, sometimes I said they're wild animals, so you cannot say, well, there's going to be a pelican there to be fed today. That's one of the things working animals. Any animal, they're unpredictable.
Exactly. Speaking of unpredictable, tell us about some of the OHMS or the safety things.
Well, I never wore goggles, which is, quite easily had my eye perked out, and I do remember doing this one little stunt once. I never did it again. I actually put a fish in my mouth and let the pelican take it out of my mouth. All I ended up with was a terrible mouthful of scales and a horrible fish smell. And I'll never do that again. But I know there is a photo, and it's like my hand was sort of like right down his beak. But I had gloves on, so that was my safety, was my gloves.
When did you start wearing gloves?
Oh, from the onset, yes, because you're handling the fish and they're a bit khaki, the scraps,
Slippery.
Also, they've still got spikes, so you could easily get a spike off the fish. Especially if you hold it the wrong way, they grab it.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't let go. The spike can go through your glove into your finger.
When you finished and someone else took over, did you ever come back after that? Or?
No, I didn't. I mean, they were my babies, my birds. And I thought if I come back, I'm likely to see the person doing something, oh, you're doing it wrong. This is how you do it. So I thought I'll stay away. And I thought, and to this day, I still haven't been back to the pelican feeding. I know it's completely different now. I think they have a headphones and a microphone where I just use my voice, which, apparently I'm heard all over Bass Strait anyway, especially when I did the radio. So I didn't need a microphone, I reckon.
Oh, wonderful.
As I said, except for Fussy Bum, who would only eat King George whiting, I mean, they were quite happy to get whatever they were given. Yeah. And we didn't give them too much that they still couldn't go out and get their own, which a lot of people think, well, you feed them, what about them, making their own way. But I'm sure they'd leave here, they'd fly to another jetty, get fed by another group of fishermen coming in with their scraps, so they hunt. that's what they do. They hunt for their food. So,
So you must have learned a lot about them while you were doing it.
not as much as people think. I don't know exactly how long they live. I'm thinking 15, maybe 25 years. So all the ones I fed back in '85 are probably no longer with us, but I'm sure, like any species, some die younger than others. I still don't know how to tell the difference between a male and female. They're all still black and white. Some had a bit browner feathers. I'm guessing that the bigger ones were the males and the smaller ones were the females. And I never saw any babies because I don't think they leave the nest till, like a lot of other wildlife, like birds, magpies. They wait till they get their feathers before they can fly.
Where do these pelicans come from? Where do they go after the feed? Were pelicans always here at this place? We were trying to find answers. We were lucky to find a fisherman who witnessed the very beginning of this great pelican feeding.
Dennis, how far back does your association go with the Fishermen's Co-op?
It's the same age as me, 1948. You was when it started, yeah. So,
How did it all happen?
how did it all happen?
Yeah.
Well, quite a few boats here couldn't get real good service with sending fish to Melbourne, so the fishermen decided to build a co-op. So most of the co-op was built by volunteer labour, and for the labour, the fishermen were issued shares for their time. So went from there. So I got established over a few years. I was obviously too young to remember all that, and most of the people that do are dead. But yeah, it went from there and it got established. Used to make their own ice here. The bank used to be in the co-op. The only bank in the village was here I think it was every Monday or Friday. So it just went from there, and it just grew and grew. It got quite a few members. I think they were £1 a share, and you've got all the old members up on the wall up there now on this new bit. But it was all pretty rough and ready. There was a lot of mostly cooter fishing in those days, a little bit of shark fishing, a bit of crayfishing, but it was all local markets. There was no export in those days. But it's been a good thing. For the town. It's been the main base of San Remo, and it was always called the freezer. Yeah, because that's where they used to freeze the fish and the ice. But when we were little kids, we used to go up the bay in dinghies and sell our leather jackets to the co-op of the freezer. Yeah, but all the fishermen's sons used to do it. We all had dinghies and good lifestyle, yeah.
And were the pelicans always here? Were they here?
No, I can't remember. When we were kids, there was no ibis here, no ibis whatsoever, because we used to go and collect eggs in the swamp over New Haven.
Ibis eggs. Ibis eggs or pelicans?
No, there was no ibis eggs. There was no pelicans over there. Used to see an odd pelican, but not many. And it wasn't really until Val started and Warren started feeding them that they come to a food source, I guess. But no, I can't remember many pelicans at all. A lot of shags, a lot of seagulls, but not many pelicans.
We had the opportunity to meet Paul, the manager of the co-op at the time, and learn a bit more about the cooperative.
So, when I was a kid, flatty tails were one of the things that you eat at fish and chip shops a lot. It's not really great from the fisher's point of view, because the flatty tail is just the last bit.
Often what happens to the rest of the body.
Yeah. So these days we've got a lot better at filleting. So take the entire fillet off, cut the rib cage out and the little pin bones, and you end up with a longer fillet. So if anyone asks these days for flatty tails, you go, yeah, here they are. But it's not the little triangle that it used to be.
No, it's not the little piece.
Yeah.
That's really well done, isn't it?
Yeah.
It looks like you've had some Japanese person come and
It is. It's
especially
very
do it.
crafted.
Yeah, you just got to. It takes time.
Exactly.
Yeah, it takes time.
It's a gift.
Yeah. Our big one is gummy shark, but with the moon, all the boys are out shark fishing at the moment, so I haven't got any shark to show you today.
Would he go on a full moon? Yeah.
They generally fish on the moon. That's when there's the best fishing.
Okay.
But they can fish right throughout a month. But on the moon is the best. Yeah, yeah.
Is that because the fish come up for light and think it's daylight?
I think because they're hunting for food in the night time. So a little bit of moon is good. They'll keep hunting right through the night with that moon. Yeah. This is something that we do sell a lot of. Southern rock lobster. So we have guys fishing from here all the way along the coast. They can be catching. Most of our fish are from Wilson's Prom right the way up till Portland, Western Victoria.
Oh, wow.
We have crays most of the year, other than the off season, which is into early spring. Always got good supply of crays. Yeah.
Difference in colour.
Yeah, that one's called a brindle, which is from deeper water. And that one's called a red, which is generally from shallower water.
What weight are these ones? They're all about the
That
same
guy
size.
there's about a kilo.
Yep.
He's probably just under, and then they're in the 800 gram range. Yeah. But we can get crays well into the 2 kilo range. Every now and then we'll get up to 4 kilos. But that's a big bull, that one. Most people kind of like them in that kilo range.
Change the flavour, does it?
Oh, they're a bit firmer when they're bigger.
Yep.
So a lot more delicate and sweet when they're smaller. But the big thing about the big cray is the legs.
Oh yeah.
Mate, the bigger the cray, the better the legs. Yeah. Always trying to get nice big size prawns. We get prawns straight off the trawlers. We tend to go for South Aussie prawns if we can. These are from Queensland, but we're just about to get our next load of Spencer Gulf King prawns in very shortly. Got a bloke over there who's going to be catching us some, and we'll be getting a pallet in soon.
Pallet?
Yeah, so they're frozen on the boat.
Yep.
And they're stored in the deep freeze out the back, and we've got a beautiful combi at the back, and we just steam a new batch every day. So our scallops, these are off our boats too. We fish them through winter, spring and early summer, and during that time we vac pack the best of the batch too in the season. So when you're here in winter, spring, early summer, you can buy them fresh, but if not, they're still available as defrosted scallops, which are still Mickey Mouse, and they're available in our freezers here too. But yeah, we get oysters in 3 to 4 times a week. Always going for the Tassie oysters. We like the Tassie ones because the water's a little colder and a little cleaner. We still get them from other states too, but Tasmania is the best we find for quality, and the food miles again are as short as they can be. There's only 3 dozen left at the moment because our lunch crowds just cleaned them out, but that gets replenished very regularly. Oh, can I show you something?
Yeah.
Another fishery that's just started up. This is a trial fishery through Fisheries Victoria, the Victorian Fisheries Association. I'll just open this up. So VFA are doing a trial on octopus fishing in our region. So we've got a couple of boats who have got a trial permit. They go out, they're sustainably catching octopus with these little traps, so it's highly targeted. There's no other bycatch, and we've invested in a octopus tenderizer and spent a lot of time creating a recipe on some pickled octopus. This is now verified by Prime Safe as well, and everyone's loving it. So you probably should take some of that home and give it a burl. I'll get another one out. Yeah, it's really nice. It's got fresh herbs in there, vinegar, a couple of vinegars, olive oil, and garlic, and a little bit of chilli. And just eat it straight out of the jar. I usually have one of these in my fridge. Whenever I walk past the fridge, I get a fork and chomp, eat it up. It's really good. Also, because we're in a tourist area, there's a lot of people that come from Melbourne and everywhere else. They often buy some fresh fish to eat that night, but we backpack a lot too, so people will come and take home a big stock of backpack stuff. They can be oysters, scallops, fish, even muttonbird from Tasmania, and it's getting more and more popular.
You want to talk more about the mutton bird?
If you want. Muttonbird in our local, well, everywhere around, it's protected. The numbers were down a long time ago, and so the habitat's protected. You're not allowed to go in there anymore, not allowed to even think about going and harvesting them. But there is a small indigenous community in Tasmania that are licensed under the Tasmanian government, and they do a sustainable harvest at the end of every Easter. And we work with them, and they do provide us with some backpack muttonbird, and it's available for sale in here. And it's really popular with the elder community who used to eat them, but a lot of our Asian visitors, Indigenous people from Australia, even New Zealanders love them. Tastes a little bit like seafood flavoured duck, which sounds weird, but yeah, it's not a taste for everybody. The people that love it, they really love it. But if you love anchovies and you love duck and you love all those strong flavours, it's a winner.
Beautiful.
Is king trout or salmon?
Yeah, no, good question. I'll get one out, right? Now, the Tasmanian salmon industry is huge. These days, we don't believe it's as sustainable as it could be. Early on, when the Tassie salmon industry started up, there was a few cages, they're floating ocean cages in estuaries. Just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's multiple cages all chained together. Stocking rates are higher than ever before. There's food raining down, and the effluent that comes out from underneath these cages is causing a lot of damage. And we don't necessarily agree with what's going on there. So we've found a more sustainable alternative, and these are land-based farms in Victoria, so less food miles. Land-based means that effluent is captured a lot easier. They have settlement ponds in their farms, and look, it's still not totally perfect, nothing is, but we need to get our heads around the fact that human beings will create an impact, but we need to try to minimise that impact, and we believe that's what this is doing. We would hope that Tasmanian salmon farms will reduce their impact one day, and when they do, we'll start stocking it again, but not yet. Remember I said the gummy shark boats, the shark boats are out at the moment, so they come in, we unload their fish and we process it, it's available fresh. Sometimes when they're out, like they are now, we've always got frozen backpacks. That's your backup. Yeah.
Good sound.
So this is one of the most popular parts, the fish and chippery. On any given day, we would have 6 to 8 species of fish available fresh at our fresh fish park. In the fish and chippery, to keep things simple, generally we'll have 3 to choose from at any given time. Always pride of place is the gummy shark on the top of the list, because everybody wants a piece of gummy. Some don't, so we usually give them just a couple of other choices, and they change all the time. You can buy your fish and chips like that old school way, piece of float, minimum chips, couple of potato cakes, but you can get fish in packs as well, the value packs type thing, and while you're waiting you can get a dozen oysters to eat, or some cooked prawns to shell and eat, some pickled octopus, all that sort of stuff. So
Washed down with nothing plastic.
that's right. Even the fish and chip boxes, they're served in recycled cardboard containers. So, like I said before, you can't have no impact. We're human beings, we do create impact, but we can all try to minimise that impact as much as we can.
You're doing a great job here with that, aren't you?
Fantastic.
You know, the forks, everything.
Yeah. So yeah, timber forks, the whole lot.
I love it.
Yeah.
What timber do the forks come from?
It's a plantation pine, so deemed reasonably sustainable, fast-growing tree. Yeah.
It's a good thing because, I mean, it's going to get better and better, isn't it, really?
And those plastic forks, they can be recycled, but a lot of that sort of stuff doesn't end up in the recycle bin. So the timber's better. That's going to break down and create less issues down the track. So one of my pet hates is single-use plastic, especially plastic water bottles. People need to get a drink of water when they're in a business like this. So we have found aluminium cans that have spring water, but if you look through here, there isn't a single-use plastic in here. We've got a bit of signage just to help educate people. Plastic recycles once and then takes 450 years to break down. So
Amazing, isn't it?
yeah, there's other alternatives. So just we got a little bit organised, and there's a lot of aluminium, which as long as you put it in the bin, and we've got recycle bins right throughout the building, it gets recycled again and again. Same with glass. So yeah, we do try to spread this type of message in a few areas throughout the business. It's not going to this fridge isn't going to make a difference on its own, but if we can try to spread that word and encourage everyone else to do it too, it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well done.
Carp's been here since 1948, and here's a list honouring all of the members who've fished here since then. It's a pretty long list. We haven't got too much space left, so we might have to create another little sidewall as the membership grows. But yeah, look, we're proud of our history. We've been here for a long time, and hopefully we'll be here for a long time to come. We still even have some retired fishermen who are still members, who stay members by volunteering around the place. You guys met Dennis this morning. He's one of those guys. He's still a member, and he comes and helps us with things here and there, and a bit of building and whatever. It's great having those blokes around. It's really cool.
Mother Nature loves all of us. Let's be kind and let's be humble.